Shalom, ladies, and welcome back to Coffee and Connection. Here we are, week 54. Woo! I don't know what just happened. Okay, let's start again. Welcome, everyone, to Coffee and Connection, week 54. So excited to be back here with all of you. Well, the absolutely intimate masterclass. I had a great time. I had a blast doing that. It was great connecting with you, all of you, in that way. I love going deeper into these concepts as much as I love our coffee and connection. It's also such a treat to be able to dive deep into something with you. But I definitely missed this time together. So I'm so good that we get to come back here, that we get to be in our space again, in the coffee and connection space. And I really want to talk about this topic of time because time is, I mean, it's probably our most precious commodity if you think about it, right? So many of the other resources in our lives are really, they're in many ways, what's the word? Like you replenishable, right? Many of our resources are replenishable. If you need money, you can please God go out and you spend money, you can please God go out and make more money. You eat your food, you can make more food. Your clothes, rip, or your jewelry breaks, or although when my favorite pink earrings broke, I'm still so sad about it. And yeah, we're sad when we lose those things, but we can replace them. We can, it's replenishable. Time is that one thing that once it's gone, right? That same moment will never be back. And there's so much that we always have to do in the time that we have. And that's why, like we even talk about in halacha, right? Like taking someone's time is like the worst form of stealing because there's no way for them to get that back. So time is so important. And we also have so much that we have to do, have so much on our list, so much on our to-do list, so much on our priority list, so much on our project, so much on our goals and aspirations that it just generally, I mean, the truth is that there is not enough time to do all the things that we could do, right? So how do we handle this topic? How do we deal with our time? How do we do it in a way that we can really make the most of our time? And I really believe that this month is like such a gift for us. The month that we're starting now, Chodesh Tov to everyone. It really is a gift because we have this extra time. When I was talking to my coach about doing this absolutely intimate masterclass and the absolutely intimate coaching program, I was telling her, like, you have to understand, like, usually at this time of the year it would be like, oh my gosh, I have to start getting ready for Purim, and then it's Pesach, and with all your heart, and everything's so crazy. And I'm like, I just have this big chunk of like open time. Now, of course, we know that it's not just open because there's still all the daily stuff, there's still all the weekly stuff, there's still all the things that we need to do to take care of ourselves and take care of our families and get our work done and get the house clean and get the laundry done, and all of that still exists. But the fact that we have this extra month where we don't have holidays, we don't have these, just all the like the extra stuff that we have starting, what would be starting today, really is such a gift. And I said, I told her, like, I really want to use this time to do something meaningful. I really want that this chunk of time can be used to accomplish something, to push forward, to move forward in a way that is really making the use of these extra weeks in my calendar. It's amazing to like really like, wow, I have these extra weeks. It's wild. And that's really why I was so dedicated this year to doing the absolutely intimate coaching program. And that's why it's just such an amazing thing that we have this time. But so that's one thing with our time, is to realize that our time is here. Thank God the time that we have is here to accomplish, to be able to do the things that matter to us. And at the same time, as I was saying, we have those day-to-day tasks that we do need to, we need to take care of. And often we can feel like there is a dissonance between those two, right? Here I have these dreams and these goals and these big projects that I want to work on. And then I have like these kids that need to be fed, or my body needs to be taken care of, or, my husband wants to spend time with me. And like, how do I juggle this all? And so I think the one of the biggest aha moments that I've had, and I've done a lot of research on this, and I've done a lot of self work on this topic. And the thing that really has struck me a lot is that we have to recognize that and what I'm going to say now, I want to make clear before I say it. It does not negate the fact that the things that are taking up our time can be stressful and can be overwhelming and can be difficult. And it's also so powerful to realize that every single thing that we do has some element of choice. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean is that I think there's two really important things here. One is to realize that what we get to, whatever we prioritize is what we're going to spend our time doing, right? So if I prioritize, if for me, right, there's always time. There's this one coach that I love. I follow her, Marie Forleo. Maybe some of you know her. And one of the things she says is that there's always time for what's most important. I love that line. There's always time for what's most important, because whatever is important to us, we either are going to, or we need to actively prioritize that into our schedule. What I mean is that whether we're doing it consciously or we're not doing it consciously, which means it's gonna happen, and maybe the things we don't want to prioritize are what's going to take up our time. But what we're going to take up our time doing is going to be what's in that moment most important to us. So if I want to prioritize spending time with my husband, then I'm going to have to schedule that in. I'm going to have to make sure that I give that my time. And that's how Date Morning was born. I mean, there's plenty of things that I can be doing on that, usually a full morning of the week. But thank God my husband and I have prioritized that is our time to spend together. Whether we're going to go out to eat, or today we took a nice long walk. I'm exhausted, but it felt really good, right? Whatever we're going to do, we are spending that time together, because you are a priority to me and I am a priority to you. No matter what we have going on, no matter how busy things are, we're going to prioritize that time because you matter to me and I matter to you. And what we have to realize is that if we don't do that, if we don't prioritize and make time for what's most important, then our time will get filled up with other things, right? But if something really is important to us, then we get to make the time for it. We get to prioritize it, and we have to choose that. We have to actively do that in our lives, because there will always be so many things pulling at us. And then let's talk about those things that are pulling at us, right? Because a lot of those things that are pulling at us, as difficult as they may be and as time consuming as they may be, a lot of them are still our choices that we have made. Meaning, we may not love picking up everyone's stuff that's all over the floor. We may not love washing a million dishes. We may not love folding laundry. We may not love, cooking dinner every day, or 3 meals a day, or doing the shopping. We may not love each of those things that take up our time, but every single one of those things, whether it's things we do for the house, things we do for the kids, things we do in our job, things that we do for our marriage, things that we do for ourselves, right? The reason we need to do that is because we made a choice. We're making a choice to, Baruch Hashem, be married, to have a family, to have a job, to take care of ourselves, to, help out in our community, to be there for our family. Whatever we're spending our time doing is coming with a choice that we have made to partake in that, right? And if there's anything in your life that you're saying, no, I didn't choose this, I don't want it, then maybe it's time to look at what you're doing with your time. Maybe it's time to question your priority. And I'm not saying that in a judgmental way. I'm saying that in a curious way. If there's something that you're doing that you're saying, I really don't enjoy this and I didn't choose it, then maybe you can look for a way that you can spend your time doing something different and either delegate that or let it go, give it to somebody else, right? Because it is important, because we only have so much time every day and every week and every month and every year, then it's important for us to feel that we are spending that time doing the things that we love, that we want, that we choose. And because there's always time for what's important, there's always time for what we are going to prioritize. So that's when we look at time in that way. I'm really going to invite you to look at how you spend your time and what frustrates you and what you wish you had more time to do, right? Something that frustrates you, to look at, how can I look at this? Like, let me look at this thing that frustrates me and recognize, where is the choice that I'm making in this, right? Where have I chosen this? Because once we can recognize how how we chose it, how we're actively choosing it, it's an amazing thing how when we can take something from the realm of, I'm stuck in this, to to the realm of, I'm choosing this, the amount of empowerment that that brings, the amount of joy then that brings is incredible. The way it can change our perspective, the way that it can change the way we even feel doing it, is incredible. When we can realize, like, yeah, I chose this. This is part of what I want. I may not love every aspect of it, but I chose it. Or I may not love, X, Y, and Z part of this. I may not love the washing the dishes and the cleaning up the table and even the cooking, let's say. But I love sitting with my family, and we sit together and we have a nice meal together. Or, I just love, I love having the guests on Shabbos. I may not love the cooking. I may not love the, oh, we have some. I may not love the, maybe even the entertaining, or maybe I don't love the cleaning up afterwards. But I love the, what part of it do I love? And to focus on that, so that it can really make a difference in then how you see everything else around that time. I'm just going to ask everyone to stay muted because there's a lot of background noise. And if you have any questions, just go ahead and put it in the chat and I'll do my best to answer it. Okay. Because the more that we can focus on what it is that we do love about that area of our lives, or what we chose, why we chose it. Even if, let's say, I hate driving carpool, or I hate working out, but I love the way I feel when my body is strong, let's say, right? That's going to make a big difference in how I actually feel as I'm doing even the parts that I don't like. And if there's anything that we look at like, no, I really don't like any part of it, we can dig deep and see, do I like the joy that it brings other people in my life? Do I feel good about it? Or is this something that I can let go of? And then going back to, there's always time for what's important. Is there an area in my life where I want to spend time in this? I want to prioritize something. There's something I want to work on. There's something I want to learn. There's something I want to move forward in. There's something that I want to start doing that I'm not doing. And I just can't find the time. And I'm really going to invite you to ask yourself, where can I put it in? Now, it's a really important concept. This is Stephen Covey shared this so beautifully in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He talks about how you have to put the big rocks in first, right? And he has that mashal, that parable of like the jar, how like if you fill it with sand, right? All the little minutia things that we have to do. If you fill your time with sand, you won't be able to get the big rocks in. You won't be able to make time for yourself, go have date time with your husband, learn a new skill, read that book that you've been wanting to read, make time to spend with your friends. Like, there just won't be that time. really sit and talk to your kids, or take that walk that you've been wanting to take. There won't be that time if it's filled with the sand. But if you first schedule in the big rocks, if you first put the big rocks into the jar, right? And then you go and pour in the sand, there'll be room for everything, right? The sand will fill up all the crevices, but the rocks will still be, they'll be there as well. It's such a great parable of our lives. It's so easy to get stuck in all the little things that we have to do. And yeah, sometimes we have to do them and we have to deal with them. But it's also important to ask ourselves, what are the big rocks that I want to do? What is it that I want to add into my life? What's important to me that I want to make time for? Because there's always time for what's important. So, where can I fit it in? How can I make it happen? What do I need to let go of? Or, are there things I don't, maybe I'm not to do at all, or things that I can do a little bit less of, right? And what would you do? Like, here we have this gift, right? I feel like we're going in like a circle. Now we're right back to the beginning here. Here we have this gift of an extra month, extra time. What is something that you've been wanting to learn, that you've been wanting to do, that you've been wanting to accomplish? And how can you allow yourself to use this month to do that? Right? It's such a gift. It's so amazing. You might say, well, I have no time because, like, I still need to make lunch, and I still need to do the laundry, and I still need to run errands, and I need to go grocery shopping. Yes, all those things are always going to be. We could fill our day with errands every day, all day. We could just stay home and clean all day. And I speak to people that do that. People that, are even living on their own, or it's just them and their husband, and they can literally spend the whole day cleaning every single day. It's possible. I mean, especially if in Jerusalem, thank God, but like anywhere where there's dust and whatever, you could spend every single day cleaning. No questions asked. I don't want to speak Lashon Hara about Israel. It's just, life happens. So putting that aside, okay, because that is always true. Those are literally the sand, right? That is always going to be there. What can we fit in? What else do you want to accomplish? And really just ask yourself that question. I really invite you to get curious with yourself. If I had more time, what would I want to accomplish? And then to look for even small steps as to how you can accomplish this. One of the things that one of the exercises that I love to share with my clients, and I'm sure you've heard me talk about it before, is my 10-minute, 5 to 10-minute davening. Like, just prioritize those 5 to 10 minutes. We each have, or can give ourselves 5 to 10 minutes a day to prioritize our relationship with Hashem and prioritize our priorities, right? And how was that born? That was born the very first time that I left my family to do something for myself. I went on the first time I went to meet my coach and go on a retreat, and I literally left for like 3 days. Like, I left Thursday morning, and I got back, I think it was Monday night. I was only really gone like Friday, Shabbos, Sunday. Like, that's how I thought of it in my head. Like, they're seeing me on the other days, even though they were all sleeping when I got home and they were all sleeping when I left. But somehow that's how I made it like okay in my head. And I remember telling myself, even though like it was so little time, it felt so long. And I said, how am I going to really make this time meaningful? Here I'm going to do something for myself, for my to become a stronger person, for my family. How could I really make this time meaningful? And one of the things that came up for me is that, if I have this time for myself to do the things that I want to do, is I want to daven. And I set that as a priority to like daven all of Shachrit every day. It was like this big, oh my gosh, when's the last time I ever did this? Or when's the last time I did this for 4 days in a row? And it was so exciting and so fun, and it felt so good. And I came back and I was saying, if that was my priority, if I had all the time in the world, that's what I would do, then that means that that's important to me. That means that that's something that's if I want to be in integrity, I have to make time for that. Now, I'm not going to make 40 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever it's going to take. I think I used to be able to do it in 20 minutes. Now I don't do it anymore. So I think it would take me longer. There's no way I'm that. I could always say, oh, I have this and I have that. And how long do I really have? But 10 minutes, I can do 10 minutes, right? And by asking myself that question, what would I do if I had all the time? It felt like all the time in the world. That helped me figure out what I really wanted to prioritize in my life, what was important for me to make the time for, and figure out how to make that work in my life. So I'm really going to invite you to ask yourself that question, to take some time to consider. If you had all the time, if you had a day to yourself, a week to yourself, a month, what would you spend your time doing? What would you really want to do besides for, okay, maybe getting some sleep, although maybe prioritizing a good night's sleep is an important thing, right? What would be important to you? Would you want to like relax, read, learn something, gain a new skill, grow in a certain area of your life, dive in, listen to music, play music, get creative, talk to your friends, go to the beach? Like, what is it for you that like, oh my gosh, if I had all that time, this is what I would want to do? Because that's going to start giving you clues as to what is a priority, that, what is something that's important to you, that you can then start to look at, how can I fit that into my life? And this is a great opportunity to do that, right? We have like an extra cheshvan, like an extra month of just like, okay, just time. Baruch Hashem, just time to work on ourselves, time to align ourselves. I really think of it as a month of alignment. Here we're making sure that we're aligned, that the seasons are aligned, right? That the moon is aligned with the sun, that our chagim are aligned in the right time of the year. So we can take that. We can take this time to align ourselves with who we want to be and what's important to me. So I'm really going to invite you to ask yourself these questions and then figure out what steps you can take over the next month to align yourself with who you want to be. Align yourself with the life you want to live. Align yourself with your vision. Align yourself with your desires, right? So that you're putting in the big rocks and you're making the best use of your time and you're really making time for what's most important to you. So I invite you to do that exercise. I invite you to join me for the next 2 days for my special gift. I'm going to be reopening the masterclass, and I'd love for you to come on by, listen or re-listen to the classes, drop your comments. I'll be in there. I'm actually going to one of the things I'm going to be doing is making sure that I'm responding to the comments. And if you have any questions, I'll also be reopening the enrollment to the Absolutely Intimate Coaching Program, which is starting on Wednesday. I'm so excited. So if anyone really does want to take this month to dive into their marriage and gain more of the skills and really just have more of an understanding of how to apply them in their lives, you're welcome to do that. That will be open to you. Let me know if you have any questions on that. And if anyone wants to send me their answers to that question, anyone wants that, to be able to have that, what's that word? When you have it down you have it down in writing and you have the, oh, Shira, what's that word? We use it all the time. I can't think of it right now. What was that? Accountability? Accountability. Thank you, Shira. The accountability of I said that. I said this is important to me. Thank you. So now you get to hold yourself accountable. You get to figure out how you're going to spend that time. Remember, our time is going to be filled. Baruch Hashem, it's filled with bracha and blessing and, all the little joys that come with all the big decisions that we make. And we also get to choose. We also matter to put in those big stones and make sure that what matters to us is in our time as well. So thank you for joining me. Shira, did you have something else you wanted to add? Just you unmuted. Thank you for being here. Thank you to everyone. So good to see you again. Thank you. Until next time, may we all be blessed to live, love, and be loved with all our hearts. Chodesh Tov. Goodbye for now.